Hi, boys and girls. It's another lesson, and we're doing a lesson 1-7 in US traditional addition. And it won't be just the traditional method. We're going to be doing a few different methods and working on deciding what's best for us and what's going to be the most efficient method. And you're going to hear that word a lot, efficient. And when we get into doing any kind of math work, especially the algorithms of getting some kind of answer, we want to do it quickly and we want to do it correctly. And we want to find a way for that to work for us. Okay, so we're going to check out a few different methods. We're going to go back to some ones that we've probably seen before, and I'm going to show you a new one that I like to call the Gibson method of addition. So let's first jump into a math message about a soccer team. And this soccer team held a car wash over the weekend to raise money. The team players washed 46 cars on Saturday and 27 cars on Sunday. How many cars did the team wash in all? All right, so we know right away that our problem is going to be an addition problem because that's the theme of this lesson, right? But let's still look at the question and try to figure out what's the important things that we want to include in our problem. Okay, and I'm going to use this box highlighter because you know what? I took a screenshot of this page and it doesn't have text that I can edit the same way like we normally do. Anyway, we have 46 cars and we have 27 cars. And the question, I'll use my little drawing tool. The question says, how many cars did the team wash in all? That is the actual question that we're going to try to answer. All right. And I'm going to choose a different color really quick. I'm going to go back up to markup again. And I'm going to choose a new color, maybe this purplish color. And I want us to really focus in on some of the action words, the really important words that we know that we're going to need to think about. And the key piece right here is how many cars? We're going to turn that question into our answer at the end. So we haven't even solved it, but we're also already thinking about how are we going to answer it. And this question says, how many cars? So we're going to say our answer is going to be in cars, right? So that's going to be something that we work out at the end. Okay, so let's get into solving, all right? I'm going to go back to our little drawing tool, and we're going to do one of the methods that you've probably used a long time ago, maybe in 3rd grade, maybe even in 2nd grade, and it's called partial sums. All right, and you are probably very familiar with this method. You might have graduated from it. I'm going to zoom in a little bit just so I can get some extra space on this screen. Okay. My grid paper on this app is being very temperamental. It's not working the way I want it to. So we're going to have to make some space or erase some things and whatever. So 46 cars, 27 cars. Let's write 46 plus 27. All right. And we're going to then make a little line down the side. That's going to help us sort out the numbers a little bit. All right, so let's first look at the different place values. That's what's great about partial sums, is that we really focus on the place values and making sure that we're only adding them together. Okay, so what's in the ones place, what's in the tens place, add them up separately, partially, and then combine them together. Okay. So we can do the tens or the ones first, also with partial sums. Very handy. So let's do the tens first. Okay. We're going to do 40 plus 20. And 40 plus 20 is 60. All right, you see how I wrote that there? We wrote it on the side, the problem, then I wrote the answer in the middle here. And I use this line here to kind of keep everything lined up. Okay, now 6 plus 7 is 13. I'm also going to write it on the side here. 6 plus 7. And then we're going to add it all up and get 73. All right, so that's our partial sums. Yours partial sums might have looked a little bit different than mine. It might have been even neater too, because you're using a pencil rather than an electronic pen. But we get the idea, right? Now, let's take a look at another method. All right, and I might have to open up a whole different page for us to work on so that we can look at it. But let's look at the traditional method. All right, and then I'm going to show you the Gibson method. Oh my goodness, this is going to be awesome. All right, so the traditional method. We have a problem like this, 236 plus 195. You can stack it up and then add it up. Okay, that's really what we need to do with the traditional method. Okay, so let me open up really quick my whiteboard app. We're going to get started with it. All right, and we're going to work right in here on that. Okay, so let's go back to that question really quick. 236 plus 195. And I was not expecting to use this app today because normally Cami works so well. 230, oh my goodness. And this one doesn't work very well. $236 plus, let me check again, 195. There we go. And I am going to erase that because that was just so messy. I'm going to write that 9 over again. Much neater. Now, traditional method, we have to add our place values in order. And that is something that we have probably practiced before. Parents may have shown this to us as well. And it is a very efficient method, and it's a very good method to use. I use this method myself. Sometimes I use the Gibson method, and I'll show you that in a second. But this is a really efficient method and a very effective one. It is something that we're going to graduate to eventually, no matter what. So let's see. First, let's start with the ones column. 6 plus 5 is 11. And then we have the tens column. 1 plus 3 plus 9 is, well, we have 1 and 9 makes 10, and 3 more makes 13. And then we carry that extra 10. And I was kind of jumping ahead here a little bit. So when we get a sum in each place value that's greater than 10, or greater than 9 even, 10 or higher, we need to put the ones from that partial sum here into that place, and then we need to carry the 10 or the 1 from that tens place over. Okay, so we then can regroup. So if we think about it, 6 plus 5 is 11, and we then bring the 110 from 11 into the tens place. And then we're adding the tens. So we have 110, 3 tens, 9 tens. All that together makes 13 tens or 130. And we're going to leave the 3 tens here and bring the extra 10 or 10 tens into the hundreds place. Okay, and we're going to say that now we have 10 tens plus 20 tens plus another 10 tens, but it's the hundreds place, so we can just say 110 plus 2 tens plus 110. Okay, so 1 plus 2 plus 1 is 4. Okay, so that is the traditional method. And it is something that you've probably practiced before. But I want us to take a look really quick at the Gibson method. And the Gibson method is kind of like column addition. I don't like column addition. I find it to be a little bit confusing. So I made a modification for this that I thought was very useful. And it showed how each place value regrouped and then we added it all up. And so in a way, we're kind of just carrying without going up to the top. And I'll show you how we're going to do this in a second. So we start with the tens place, and I am going to write in tens, and then I'm going to write in 100. Oh my goodness. Let's try that again. Wow. It's getting a little late. Maybe I am not thinking as clearly as I want to. Okay, so let's try that again. All right, so we have the ones, we have the tens, and then we have the hundreds. And we could keep going if we had a higher place value, but we're not going to in this case. So let's add up the ones. 6 plus 5 is 11. And then we have 3 plus 9, or 3 tens plus 9 tens, is 12 tens. You see what I did here? I took the ones and I put it in that kind of first row here. And then I took the tens and I put it in the second row. And if I put in a 0 here, I could show that this is not just 2 tens and 1 hundreds, but it's also 0 ones, or it's 120. And that's kind of what's happening here, is that as you regroup, you're kind of already moving on to the next place value. So finally, I have 2 plus 1 is 3. And then we can add it all up. We have 1, 3, and 4. All right, so let's take a look at one more problem. And I want you to pick a method that's comfortable for you. And I would love it if you tried out this method. And I kind of went through it quickly, but I'm going to review it with you really fast. The Gibson method of column addition. And I'm going to hide this toolbar just so we can see a little more of it, okay? And I'm going to move my head out of the way. So the Gibson method of column addition is that we draw lines to separate the ones, tens, and hundreds places, or also thousands if we have that, right? So a problem like this. And then we add the numbers in each column. If there's a double-digit sum for the ones, place the digit for the tens in the tens column. So see how we did that? 8 plus 6 is 14. Bring the 1 over into the tens place if we have a double digit sum. And then for the tens, 5 plus 5 would be 10. So we'd write it that next row down. And then we have the hundreds, which is 6 plus 7, and that is 13. So we'd write it like that. And the 1, if there was an extra digit, goes into the next column. So for the sum of the tens, place the digits in a new row. Double digit sums should be split in the same manner between columns. The sum of the hundreds and any remaining place values should be placed in a new row and split as necessary. And then finally, we add up each one of those columns to get our final answer. So let's try out a new problem, okay? Let's try out one more. I'm going to give you a choice of working on either one. And I realize that I want to be able to keep showing you this. So I'm going to slide this over here. So you can look at either option. And I'm going to also pick a new color so we can kind of stand out and see a little better. All right, we got blue. And let's pick a new problem. And I'm going to make it up off the top of my head. We're going to do, oops, got to turn that on. There we go. Let's do 648 plus 385. Now, I'd like you, oh dear, this is freezing up on me. That wasn't too bad, was it? All right, it did freeze up on me though. All right, so here's our problem. 648 plus 385. All right, pause the video, work it out on your own, and pick traditional, pick the Gibson method if you'd like to try that out, and maybe do both. And afterwards, we're going to work on solving it together with our classmates. Okay, we're going to share our work with that. Okay, so that is something that I'm not going to share an answer with in the video. I want you to work on actually maybe on your own time. And you're going to share it then with your group when we have our class on lesson 1-7. Okay, and that's going to be Friday morning for some of you and Friday afternoon for some of the other folks. Okay, so let me quickly show you our journal pages. And there's 2 different journal pages and also a home link that I'm going to make all available on Friday for us to work on. Okay, and I don't want you working on it until we have some of our lessons time. Okay, so the journal pages are going to give us some space to work on traditional method, and the numbers might not be big enough, so you might need to rewrite them. We also need to estimate. And that's a really, really important thing that a lot of times people jump past or maybe don't notice until they've already started working. So what I'm going to do is highlight all of these, and I'm also going to write the word first. I'm going to put it right there. And then I'm going to all right, let's see. And let's see if I can copy and paste that. No. Oh, I need to floss. All right. Well, let's just write it again. First estimate. Okay, and that's something that we're going to be doing during our lesson time today, or on Friday. And then we're going to have another page where you actually work on one problem and you show all the methods, including, I'd like you to try the Gibson method. And then we also have a home link, which gives us some additional work to practice. And it says you may use any method, but you do need to show your work. Okay, so I think this lesson is going to be very familiar with you. Okay, and I think some of you are already very efficient and quite the experts when it comes to addition. But we do need to make this skill really solid, because if we want to move on to multi-digit multiplication and eventually division, we need to be really strong with our addition and subtraction. So that's what we're going to be doing on Friday. All right. Make sure to do this problem and share your work with your classmates on Friday. All right.